Assalamu alaikum. You are studying electronic commerce and I am your instructor Saadat Nisar. In the previous lecture we had discussed at length various types of web forms and how do we create these forms. These forms basically are used to receive input from the users. In our today's lecture we shall study how do we create frames in HTML and how do we create image maps using HTML. Let's start with the concept frames. Frames are those web pages which have a very useful function to perform. Using frames, in fact, we can create the layout of our web page. In other words, we can divide our web page into different sections called frames. You may have experienced that there are certain websites, when we visit those websites, then there are certain sections, certain shells or frames which remain static. They do not change. On the other hand, there are certain sections on those web pages on which the content that keeps changing each time. So, for instance, there is a section on which there are certain hyperlinks. When we click on these hyperlinks, the resulting pages, they are opened, they are displayed on a different frame, on a different section on that web page. So, any web page which is created in a way so that some portion of it remains in view throughout and some portion of it keeps receiving different content pages by the use of hyperlinks, we say that type of web page to be a frame. Now, how do we create frames? In order to create frames, we have to, in fact, develop two different types of web pages. There are frame set pages. We need to create, in fact, a frame set page, and then we need to create content pages in plain HTML. For the first type, the frame set page, we use two basic tags, that is the frame set tag and the frame tag. The frame set page, in fact, lays down the rules on the basis of which the page is divided or is converted into shells or frames. And then the content pages, which are separately developed and created, these content pages host all that material which is to be displayed on these different frames which we have created with the help of the frame set page. So, say I want to divide my web page, my web page screen horizontally into two main frames. I want that 25% of my web page screen should be constituted of an upper frame and the 75% remaining screen should be my lower frame. In other words, I want to divide the screen horizontally. For that purpose, I would use the frame set tag and the frame tag in the HTML document. I will have to do the coding for that purpose, and you can see before you, I'll have to write a code like this. You can see there is no body tag in this particular case. The frame set page, since it does not as such contain any content, any text material, therefore no body tag is used. The frame set page only provides the basis for division of the web page. So you can see that after the head tag, we start with the frame set tag. You can see that in the frame set tag, I have used the attribute rows, and I have kept the value of this attribute rows as 25% and 75%. And then I have used two frame tags. Frame tags have got no corresponding end tag. Then I close the frame set tag, then I close the HTML tag. Here, let me mention that 25% would correspond to the first frame tag. That means that 25% of our window screen should be allocated for the first frame, and the 75% of our window screen horizontally should be allocated, assigned to the bottom frame, the second frame. So this code, when it is processed, it is viewed like this. You can see that your web screen has been horizontally divided into two shells or two frames. The upper portion, the upper frame is 25% and the remaining portion is 75% of the web screen. In case we want to divide our web page vertically into three sections, three frames, how do we write the code for that? You can see before you in the slide that I divide my web page vertically and I have used the frame set tag. In that frame set tag, I use the attribute calls, and I have kept the values of the calls attribute as 20%, 60% and 20%. And thereafter, I have introduced three frame tags which have got no end tag. Then I close the frame set tag and the HTML tag. Resultantly, my first frame would receive 20% of my Windows screen. The middle frame would be receiving 60% of the Windows screen, and the remaining 20% would be allocated to the third frame. Just in case I do not provide the value for the third frame in terms of percentages, that is, I just write 20%, 60%, and I omit to mention the remaining 20%, the third value in the calls attribute, then automatically the browser allocates the remaining value, which is 20%, which I missed to write. That 20% would automatically be assigned to the third frame. The result of this code would be displayed like this. You can see your web page has been divided vertically into three frames. The left frame 20%, then the middle frame 60%, and the right frame, which again is 20%. So in this fashion, we can divide our web page either horizontally or vertically with the help of rows or calls attributes used in the frame set tag, and in this fashion we can create these shells or frames, these divisions for our web page. Next, I want to mention that we can use the frame tags in the frame set tag for providing information about the content files which are to be displayed on these frames. For example, in the frame tag, I can use the attribute source src, and I can keep its value, that content file name which I want to be displayed or shown in this particular frame. So if I want a file, a content file which I had separately created, developed in HTML called 1.htm, then I can fix its value as the value of the source attribute, and then the contents of that file would be displayed in that frame. I can also give names to my frames. So the first frame, I can use the attribute name and I can keep its value. Say I can give its name as upper. So my first frame, my top frame, would be called upper. Then similarly, the second frame, which constitutes 75% of my web page. I want a file, content file 2.html to be displayed on this. Then in the second frame, again, I use the source attribute and give it the value 2.htm. I also give it a name using the name attribute. I give it the name lower, and then I close the frame set tag, HTML tag, and in this way, these two files, 1.htm and 2.htm, they would be shown in the upper and lower frames respectively when a user would type this frames.htm page. When the user wants to open this page, frames.htm, open this file called frames.htm, when this file would be opened, then automatically the contents of 1.htm would be displayed in the upper frame and the contents of 2.htm would be displayed in the lower frame. Now you can see in the slide that the file 1.htm, it is displayed in the upper frame. In fact, this file just consisted of one sentence, and that sentence is, this text is from 1.htm. So this one sentence of file 1.htm would be displayed in the upper frame. Then the file 2.htm, its contents are to be displayed in the lower frame. In fact, this file consisted of just two sentences. First sentence is, this text is from 2.htm, and the second sentence is, this is a link to 3.htm. You may notice that I have made this second sentence a hyperlink by using the anchor tag. So in the file 2.htm, using anchor tag, I have created a hyperlink. This sentence, this is a link to 3.htm, is a hyperlink. When a user would click at this hyperlink, he would reach another content page called 3.htm, and that page then would be displayed. You can see the code for 1.htm, which is displayed in the upper frame. Simple. In the body tag, I have used just a heading tag, and I have written this text is from 1.htm, heading closed, body closed, HTML closed. You can also see the code for the file 2.htm, which consists of just two sentences, the second sentence being a hyperlink. Let's have a look at the code. I start with the body tag, then heading. This text is from 2.htm, heading closed, then another heading, and within that I have used the anchor tag. You remember that we use anchor tag for creating hyperlinks. Anchor tag hyperreference equals 3.htm. 3.htm is the destination where I want to reach by clicking the clickable sentence. You can notice that I have used another attribute, target, in the anchor tag, and I have kept its value lower. And then I write, this is a link to 3.htm, anchor tag closed, heading closed, body and HTML closed. So because of the anchor tag, the sentence, this is a link to 3.htm, would become clickable, and when a user would click it, the file, a separate content file, 3.htm, would open. Where would that file open? That would be specified by the attribute target. So in this example, the target attribute tells that this file, resulting file 3.htm, must be displayed in the lower frame. Lower frame, in fact, is the frame where this link was actually placed. Here I want to mention that preferably we should keep all the content files like 1.htm, 2.htm, 3.htm in the same folder at the same place where our main frame set page, which is frames.htm, is residing. Otherwise, if you keep your content files at a different folder, at a different place, then you have to give the full path where those content files are placed. in the frame tag using the source attribute. So if your file 1.htm is in my documents, then in the frame tag, giving the value of the source attribute, you give the full path, c:\my documents, etc., where your file 1.htm is placed. So we prefer that we keep all our content files in the same folder where our frame set code is placed. Then I want to show you the code for the file 3.htm. It's again a separate independent content file. We have created it, we have done the coding for it, and its code runs like this. You can see after the body tag there is the heading tag and there is one sentence. This text is from 3.htm, heading closed. Then another heading tag in which I have used the anchor tag. Now I specify href attributes value as 2.htm, then target attribute, its value lower, and then I write the sentence. This is a link back to 2.htm, anchor tag closed, heading tag closed, body and HTML closed. Now using this anchor tag, in fact, I am creating a hyperlink. You can now understand that the hyperlink, that this is a link back to 2.htm. When a user would click at this hyperlink, he would go back to the file 2.htm. So in this way, we can switch different web pages, we can interlink different web pages, and we can get these different web pages displayed in different frames using the target attribute in the anchor tag. As you can see in the slide before you, that when the file 3.htm it is opened in the lower frame, then it has just two sentences. This text is from 3.htm, and the second sentence, this is a link back to 2.htm. You can now understand that by clicking this sentence, this is a link back to 2.htm, when a user would click, he would again go back to the same content file 2.htm, which would be opened for him in the lower frame. Remember, the upper frame would remain static. There would be no change there. So therefore, the contents of file 1.htm, they would stay as it is in the upper frame. This is the concept of frames, that we keep one portion as it is, we keep it static, and we get displayed different web pages with the help of hyperlinks in other frames. If I want this file 2.htm to be displayed in the upper frame, what should I do? Yes, target attribute. I should give the value of the target attribute upper in the file 3.htm, and then the contents of 2.htm would be opened, would be displayed in the upper frame. Instead of having the values of the target attribute as upper or lower, etc., there is a shortcut also available. What we can do is that we do not name the frames as such in the frame set page. Rather, we use certain ready-made frame names. And you will see in the slide before you that there are certain predefined ready-made names for the frames. For example, if I keep the value of the target attribute as _self, that would indicate to the browser that the resulting web page should be displayed in the same frame where that hyperlink is placed. Then another ready-made name, another value for the target attribute is _top. That would indicate to the browser that it should display the resulting page, the page that is resulted from the hyperlink, in the entire window screen. So therefore all the different frames, they would vanish and the resulting page would be displayed in the entire browser window. The third ready-made name is underscore blank. So if we keep the value of the target attribute as underscore blank, that would in fact tell the browser that the browser should open a new window, and in that new window the resulting page should be shown or displayed. So therefore if I close this new window, then the previous window would be displayed and it would be available for viewing. Then there are three important attributes which are used in the frame tag, and I want to mention about these. First is no resize. We use this attribute no resize in the frame tag in order to prevent a user from dragging the dividing line and refixing the size of the frame. What does that mean? It means that if we do not use the no resize attribute in the frame tag, then the users, when they open these pages containing frames, the users, with the help of the mouse pointer, they can drag the dividing lines which divide the page into frames. So in this way they can readjust, they can recreate the size of the frame by dragging the dividing line. In order to prevent the users, if the purpose of the coder is that the coder wants to prevent the users from changing the size, from dragging the dividing line, then the no resize attribute would do the job. Then there is another attribute, scrolling, which we can use in the frame tag. We can keep its value as yes or no. If we keep the scrolling attribute's value yes, that would then result into the appearance of a scroll bar on the frame, and if the scrolling is no, then that scroll bar would not appear. Then there is another very important attribute for the frame tag, and this is the border attribute. In case of Netscape Navigator, we use the attribute border, but in case of Internet Explorer, the keyword, the attribute is frame border. So wherever in a frame tag we use frame border equals 0, and this is Internet Explorer, then the result would be that the dividing line, the line that helps in creating frames, that line would be hidden, that would disappear. As you are familiar, in case of tables, we use the border attribute to hide the boundaries of the table. Similarly, in case of frames also, these lines, these dividing lines, they can be hidden with the help of frame border attribute. We keep frame border equals 0, and then the frames would although be created, but the boundary lines, the lines which create the web page into frames, these lines would be disappeared. Then, as you can see in the slide, there is a concept of nesting of frames. This is also quite useful. You can see that my web page is divided in fact into 3 frames. First of all, the division is horizontally, so there is an upper frame, then there is a lower frame, and you can see that the lower frame is further divided vertically, column wise, into 2 equal frames. This concept is called the nesting of frames. So you can see in the upper frame, the line is, this text is from 1.htm, which means that the content file 1.htm, which consists of just one line, its contents are displayed in the upper frame, and then the file 2.htm consisting of just 2 lines, its contents are displayed in the lower frame, the left side lower frame, and the contents of 3.htm, again consisting of 2 sentences, its contents, they are displayed in the right frame, the lower right frame. Let us see what is the code behind these frames. As you can see, after the closing of the head tag, there is the frame set tag, and first of all I divide my web page horizontally. I use the rows attribute and keeping the values 25%, 75%. That means that the web screen, the page should be horizontally divided into 25% and 75%. Then I use the frame tag source equal 1.htm and I give the name to this frame, name equal upper. So therefore the 25% of the total web page, that is allocated to this frame called upper, where the contents of file 1.htm, that is just one line, that content would appear. Then before closing the frame set tag, I again use another frame set tag where I use the calls attribute and I keep values 50%, 50%, and thereafter I use two frame tags. In the first frame tag, source equal 2.htm, and I give it the name lower, and then subsequently the next frame tag, source equal 3.htm, and I give the name right. So therefore, as a result, my lower frame would be further the frame which consists of 75% of the web page, that would again be divided into two frames. In the lower frame, the file 2.htm would open, and in the right frame, the file 3.htm would open. I close these two frame set tags and then I close the HTML tag. Next, I want you to do some coding regarding the nesting of frames by yourself. So I am giving you a simple assignment for this purpose. You can see in the slide that there are 4 frames to be created. You have to do the coding for this. You have to create the frame set page. The division is such that 25% of your web screen should be reserved for the upper frame, then 50% of the web page, web screen should be reserved for the middle frame, and then you can see the middle frame is to be further divided vertically into 50-50, and after that there is a bottom frame, lower frame, which again is 25% of the total window screen. It's a simple coding and I want you to do this for the next lecture. Then we come to another topic, which is the image maps. But before we discuss image maps, just let me very briefly tell you that images, they can be links also. So wherever there is an image, a picture, and I want that picture, that image to be clickable, I can do that. Just I need to use the anchor tag, and within the anchor tag I use the image tag to make that particular image as clickable. So you can see in the slide there is a picture of a house and there is a line, click this house, then comes the picture, to return to my home page. In this screenshot, the picture of this house is clickable. So whenever a user would click at this picture, he would be diverted to some other destination web page. What is the code behind this? As you can see in the slide, let's start with the body tag. The line runs, click this house, then comes the anchor tag, href equals main.htm. This is some HTML file which is the destination file to which the user would be diverted by clicking the picture of the house. And then before closing the anchor tag, I use the image tag, as you can see. And in the image tag, source equal home.gif. This is the file name, the name of that image, the image of the house. Then I close the anchor tag and then the further text to return to my home page, body closed, HTML closed, and you just saw the result that it would display the picture of a house, and that house would be clickable. As I mentioned, image maps can also be created in HTML. The concept behind image maps is that we have a graphics, we have some picture, some image, and we can keep certain portions of that picture clickable. We can make certain portions, certain regions of that picture, that image clickable. And this picture is then called an image map. So therefore it is possible that by clicking the area or region A, the user would be led to some file a.htm, and by clicking another clickable region of that image called region B, the user is diverted to another different HTML file b.htm, and similarly by clicking the region C, the user is led to another file c.htm. So in this way, there is just one picture, one image, and we have split it, we have divided it into different clickable regions, and each clickable region is leading us to a different content, different HTML file. There are three basic steps which we need to take to create image maps, and you can see in the slide. The first step is that you have to decide that what are the regions you want to make clickable. Therefore, you have to define the boundaries, the coordinates of those regions which you want to become clickable. That is your first step, to define, to mark the boundaries of different regions, to define their coordinates. Then the second main step is that you use two tags, map tag and area tag. These two specified tags then would create the image map for you. You will give a name of that image in the map tag. And then the third step is that you use a special version of an image tag, and then you use these map tags and image tag, and in this way you create your image map. Let us understand this concept in more detail. Our first anxiety, first of all, is to define the coordinates of different clickable regions. That is our first step. There are two different ways of doing this. One is that we load our image which we want to become clickable. We load this image in some graphics package like Paint or Paint Pro. We load our image in such program, and then we use our mouse. We use our mouse at different places. We keep the pointer of the mouse at different points of that image, and then the coordinates, they are displayed on the status bar down below. With the help of a paper, we write these coordinates, and in this fashion we find out that these are the coordinates of different clickable areas, clickable regions. Here, let me emphasize that we basically are using the pixel concepts for determining the coordinates. Do you remember the pixels? How do we define a pixel? What is a pixel? A pixel, I repeat, is a point on your computer screen which is located or marked by the column number followed by the row number. typically our computer screen is divided into small points, and vertically it is divided into 800 columns, and horizontally it is divided into 600 rows. So in order to mark a pixel, we provide the column number and followed by the row number. So there can be a pixel point at column number 500 and row number 20. So in this way we define a pixel. So using this same pixel concept, we then identify the coordinates of these clickable regions. One way, as I mentioned, that we load our image in some graphic program like Paint, and then in the status bar, whenever we move our mouse pointer, we get the coordinates shown or displayed on that status bar, and from there we write on our paper. The other way of knowing these coordinates is that we set up a dummy HTML file, and we use an anchor tag in that HTML file. In an anchor tag, href equal whatever, any file name. Then I use the image tag, and I keep the source attribute value, and then I use a special attribute I as map, and then I close the anchor tag. So if I create this dummy file, and when I load it in the browser and I view the result, I can then, with the help of the pointer of the mouse, find out that these coordinates, they relate to these regions. This is a second way where, with the help of the browser itself, creating a dummy file using the IMAP attribute, I can get to know the different coordinates of different points. For example, there is a rectangular image, as you can see. It is 600 pixels wide and its height is 100 pixels. Although I do not know its width or height, but my intention is that I want to divide it into 3 different clickable regions. The first step is to know the coordinates of each clickable region. What I can do is I can view this image in the browser. I create a dummy HTML file using the IMAP attribute in the image tag. Then after applying that image tag within the anchor tag, as I told you, I can then know the coordinates of the regions A, B and C, which would be appearing in the status bar of the browser window. So assuming that I want this picture, this image to be displayed at the very start of my web page, at the very top, then I load it accordingly in my dummy file at the very top, and when I put my mouse pointer at the very starting point, the mouse pointer, when I put it at the beginning, the upper left corner of the region A, the status bar would tell me 0, 0. That means that the upper left corner point is 0, 0. The coordinates of this point are 0, 0. If I put my mouse pointer then on the lower right corner, I find that the coordinates displayed on the status bar are 199, 99. That is 199th column and 99th row. Similarly, the upper point for region B is 199, 0. And then for region B, for the lower right corner, I get the coordinates 399, 99. Then for region C, similarly, the upper left corner tells me the coordinates 399, 0, which are shown on the status bar, and the lower right corner for region C displays the coordinates 599, 99 on the status bar. In this fashion, therefore, I get to know these different coordinates, which can then identify these three different clickable areas or regions called A, B, and C. This is my step 1. I have identified the coordinates for each individual clickable area. In the second step, I have to use, for my actual HTML file, I have to use a map tag. As you can see in the slide, I give the name of this map using the name attribute as test map. Then before closing this map tag, I use 3 area tags. And in each area tag, I use attribute shape, and I keep the value of the shape attribute as rect. I write the keyword rect, which means that this particular clickable region or area is rectangular shape. Then in each area tag, I use the attribute quads, and I give it the value which I have just noticed, I have just been able to know with the help of my step 1. I have noted these values on the paper. So therefore, to mark the region A, the coordinates for this rectangular region A would be 0, 0, 199, 99. You can see that I have also used the attribute href, keeping its value a.htm. That means that when a user would click on this region marked by these coordinates, the region A, then he would be led to an HTML file called a.htm. In the second area tag, the coordinates are different for the quads attribute. You can see 199, 0, 399, 99. These 4 coordinates, they mark the region B. And using href attribute, I keep its value b.htm, which means that by clicking this region, the user would be diverted to b.htm file. That file would be opened. Then for region C, the coordinates are 399, 0, 599, 99. These 4 coordinates mark or identify the region C. That is, the coordinates for the region C are those which are on the upper left corner and on the bottom right corner for this region. As you had just seen, these coordinates, these 4 coordinates are the ones to mark the region C. And again, by href keeping its value c.htm, I can get the file c.htm opened if the user clicks at this region C marked by these coordinates. This is then my step number 2, using the map tag, and within the map tag using the area tags. Step number 3 is quite simple. I just need to use a special version of the image tag. I use the image tag and I use the source attribute, source equal. I give the value of the attribute source, that actual image file name, that bigger rectangle which I had divided into 3 regions, I would give the value of the source attribute as that file name, that bigger rectangle file name, or my main image. In this case, the name of that file is quads.gif. Then I use another special attribute which is use map, and I keep the value of the use map attribute the same as I had kept the name of the map in the map tag. Remember, in the map tag I had used the name attribute, and in that I had given a name to this map. I had used the name test map for this particular map. So similarly, in the step number 3, using the use map attribute and using the number sign, I would write the value of the use map attribute. Use map's value would be hash test map. That would tell the browser that the browser has to use this particular map called test map. So these are the 3 steps which are required to create an image map, to divide a picture into clickable regions. Let me point out here that the shape attribute can have more values. So shape attribute's value is just not confined to rect. The other prescribed values for the shape attribute are circle and poly. So wherever I want a circular region to become clickable, I would use the shape attribute's value circle. Similarly, where I want some polygon, some triangle, pentagon, hexagon, etc. to become clickable, there the value of the shape attribute would be poly. And I would give the coordinates for each this particular shape. For example, in case of circle, there are 3 coordinates that I need to give. One is the x coordinate of the center point of the circle, then the y coordinate of the center point of the circle. So in this way, the center point of the circle is marked. Then I also need to give the radius of the circle, how big a circle I want, to become clickable. So using these 3 attributes, x coordinate, y coordinate of the center point along with the radius, then I give the value for the chords attribute in the area tag where the shape is circle. In case of polygon, then for each corner point I need to give the value of the coordinates to mark that point. So in case of a triangle, I need to give 3 pairs of coordinates to mark that triangular region, and I would keep the value of the shape attribute as poly. Assuming that we have any regular shape, any regular image, and we want to divide that image into different clickable regions, clickable areas, what we can do is that we can divide that image into rectangular regions, circular region, or triangular regions, etc. by using the value of the shape attribute as rect, circle, or poly, as the case may be, and in that fashion we can then divide that irregular shape, we can convert it into different clickable regions, we can make an image map out of it. Then there are 3 useful attributes which I should mention to you regarding the area tag. One attribute is alt, alt attribute. I can keep some value for this attribute. In fact, this is used to print or label some text on the clickable region. So in order to give a hint, a clue to the user that if you clicked at this region, you would go to this file a.htm. To give that hint to a user, I want to write the file name a.htm on the first clickable area, clickable region called A. For that, then I can use in that area tag the attribute alt, and I can keep its value a.htm. Now, the value which I have used in the alt attribute, that would appear as a label. So a.htm would appear as a label on the area A, region A. Similarly, for B region, the alt attributes value can be b.htm. For region C, the value of the alt attribute in the area tag can be c.htm. These are all labels, a.htm, b.c.htm. These are labels to appear on these different clickable regions. Then there is another attribute, target. I can keep the value of this attribute target as the name of that frame. If I'm working with frames, I can use the target attribute in the area tag, keeping the value of this attribute, the name of the frame where I want my result to appear. So target equal lower, upper, etc. if I'm working with frames. This target attribute here is used for area tag. Then another attribute is no href. So if I want that my clickable area, it should not as such be clickable. The region which I wanted to be clickable, I neutralize that. I don't want it to be clickable any longer. What I can do is I can use the no href attribute, and then wherever I use, in what area tag I use this attribute no href, that would not be clickable thereafter. So this is about the image maps, and I hope that you have understood the concept. We may revise it a little in our next subsequent lecture. So for the time being, we stop here. We conclude our today's lecture, and I stop here. Till then, Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Saadat Nisar, and you are studying the course E-Commerce. If you recall, we had discussed two main concepts in our previous lecture. We had discussed how to create frames, and we had also examined as to how we can create image maps using HTML. Just to revise a little what we had done last time, I would like to give you the definition of the concept frames once again. Frames are applied on those web pages where we want some portion of the web page to be available in view throughout, and we want the rest of the portion of the web page to receive different contents using hyperlinks. So if we apply such a concept, we say that this web form, it contains frames on it. Remember, I had given you a very simple example in the previous lecture for coding, and I wanted you to create a nested frame. As you can see in the slide, there are 4 frames that you need to create. The top frame, then the middle frame, it is to be divided in 2 equal portions, and then comes the lower frame. What is the code behind this? Let's have a look at it. As you can see, we start with the HTML tag, then comes the head tag, and then within the head tag we use title tag. We give the title nested frames. Remember that whatever content information we give in the title tag, that appears on the blue bar at the top of the browser window. Then frame set tag we use, and we use the attribute rows in order to divide the page into different frames horizontally, and we give the value of the rows attribute as 25%, 50% and 25%. And for the first frame having the size 25%, we use the frame tag and we keep its name upper. After that, we use another frame set tag to divide the middle frame into columns. We use the calls attribute, giving it the value 50%, 50%. That would then divide the middle frame equally into 2 frames. And we name these 2 frames like frame name left and then frame name right. After that, we close this inner frame set tag, and then we use another frame tag, keeping its value as lower. You can see name attribute has the value lower. Then we close the outer frame set tag, and then we close the HTML tag, and you have already seen the result. This code results into a web page which is divided into 4 frames. We had also discussed the image maps, and I told you that image maps are those pictures, those graphics which are divided into different clickable areas or regions, such that if we click at a particular region, we are diverted to a particular web page, and then if we click at some other area, we are then led to some other website, web page. This concept, this picture, which is divided into clickable regions, is called an image map. I told you we take 3 different steps for creating image maps. First, we define the coordinates of different clickable areas. This is our step number 1. Then in step number 2, we use map tag, and within the map tag, we use area tags in order to specify these clickable areas or regions. Then in the third step, we use an image tag, and we use an attribute useMap in that image tag so as to apply that map we have created using the map tag. Now you can see in the slide, I have mentioned some attributes of the area tag. You are already familiar with the shape attribute. In this particular case, I have kept the value of the shape attribute as circle. Then I use another attribute, quads. Remember, for a circle, we need to give 3 coordinates to define a circular region. That is the x coordinate, then the y coordinate, and then the radius of the circle. So here you see these 3 coordinates of the circular region are specified in the value of quads attribute. Then href attribute, I have kept its value a.htm. This means that when a user would click at this particular circle, this shape, then he would be led to a file a.htm. In other words, the file a.htm would open. I have used another attribute here, alt. I have kept the value of alt as a.htm. This information would in fact appear on the clickable region. So the label that circular region would have on it would state a.htm, and that would in fact give a hint, a clue to the user that if the user clicks on this shape circle, he would open a file a.htm. I have also introduced an attribute target, keeping its value upper in case we are dealing with frames and we want to specify that this resulting page should open at a particular frame. Then I can use the target attribute in the area tag, and I can keep any frame value as the value of target attribute. Here you can see at the end another attribute, no href. No href indicates that this particular shape, this region, it should not be clickable. In fact, wherever we want to mention that this particular area or shape has not to become clickable, then we use this attribute no href. It would then neutralize the effect of href equal a.htm. So if we click at this region, then in fact no file a.htm would open. I can discuss with you a simple example of a donut shape here. As you can see in the slide before you, there is a donut shape, and in fact it consists of two circles, an inner circle and an outer circle, and I want that the inner circle, the inner region, should not be clickable, and the outer circle, the outer region, should be in fact clickable, such that the inner portion, the inner circle, should not be a hyperlink. Only the shaded portion of this donut should be clickable. So what do I do here? In fact, I use two area tags, and I use the shape attribute value as circle. I define the quads attribute giving the values of these two circles in terms of coordinates, and then for that area tag which refers to the inner circle, I use the attribute no href. So therefore, because of the attribute no href, the inner circle would no longer be clickable. I do not use this attribute no href in case of the outer circle, for which I have created another area tag. Therefore, the outer circle would be clickable minus the region that encloses the inner circle. In simple terms, the inner circle, the region which is occupied by the inner circle, is not clickable because of no href, and only the shaded